today is Margaret Kreps, author of My Intimate Journey with Caesar. That's the name of your book, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And maybe you can give us a little bit of background about who you are and how this came about.
Okay. Well, already said my name is Margaret. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. I actually studied as an X-ray tech and a nuclear medicine tech, and that's what I have been doing the last 20 years. But I will always have people ask me what made me cut my hair. It became a part of my daily conversation. So one day I just decided to put those answers down and actually write it out. And that's what started the process of writing the book. Even though the whole story of it took another turn, but that's the process that started. Just simply to answer what I have been being asked daily.
Because people keep asking you that question. Well, why did you cut your hair like this?
Exactly. It was because I guess it was such a shock to see, not now. Now, remember, I cut my hair 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So in 2014, you see a person with a short haircut, doesn't even faze you so much. But it was what I heard daily 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Even now, I wasn't asked randomly, but at work, I do between 5, 10, on a good day, 12 patients. And I'm with my patients 3, 4 hours. So that's not the initial conversation. But after you're with somebody in such a vulnerable position for so many hours, you start a dialogue, of course, to make the patients feel comfortable. But it's just a humanistic thing to do. You're sitting there for a few hours. So they would ask me all the time, so Margaret, became a part of the conversation. When I say every day, I mean every day. So I decided to write it down. That's what started this story.
And that makes sense too, because these are people you're newly meeting each day, so it's a new thing to them. It's not like you're the people that you work with every day, but
Exactly.
These are new people and new patients, and they're all curious.
Exactly.
So it's been 20 years. Now, you weren't in Puerto Rico when 20 years ago. You were in New Jersey, is that right?
Yes, I was in New Jersey. I was living in South Jersey, actually, and, it was not too many people that looked like me at that part of New Jersey, and which was another reason for a second look, I guess, and a little bit of, different type of conversation. And but when the book was actually published, when I started writing the book, I was still in New Jersey. But when the book was actually published, I was here in Puerto Rico.
How long has the book been out?
The book originally came out in September of 2013, towards the end of 2013, maybe September, October-ish. But I couldn't afford to have the book edited, plain and simple. I had no money for it. I had just relocated across the country with a 6-year-old who wasn't healthy. And I wanted to, the book was finished, and I wanted to put the book out there. You want to ask me about technetium, gallium, cobalt, I can answer you. I can read and write the English language, but editing is a different story.
It is a different thing.
It is definitely a different element. But I couldn't afford to do it. So I made a conscious decision to put the book out, unedited. And the money I used from the book sales, I reinvested it to have the book edited. So it was republished January of this year. The edited version was actually republished.
That makes sense too, because you're so close to your own book, as I do it when I write. Also, I don't see my own mistakes, or even just not necessarily mistakes, but things that I would write differently if I were so close to it.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened. You can look at it a million times, and they say in any editing, when you're in school, you could write a 2-page paper. You could, if you're in a higher level, you could write a 10-page paper. But how many times can you read it? When you wrote the story, you know what it's supposed to say, not what it does say. You know what it's supposed to say. And you always need that proofreader. Even in college, what do? We go to the tutors and let them proofread for us. Not to necessarily change our words, but that A should have been an E. That comma's in the wrong place, things like that. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
ready for my editor.
when you're proofing it yourself and when you're reading it, I find that I'll be reading it along because I know what it's supposed to say, like you said. My mind drifts off somewhere else. I read the whole thing and I didn't even really read it.
How many times can you read the story? I know what happened. I was there.
Exactly. Well, now, I read on your website that some of the reasons for getting the haircut had to do with life changes, and you talk about those in the book. Can you shed a little bit of light on that?
I originally cut my hair. I wanted to cut my hair years before I was
There's that
married.
siren you mentioned.
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
let it go by.
I lived near the hospital.
Yeah.
I wanted to cut my hair, but my husband, that was a no-no. My family, a woman with short hair was an absolute no-no. My grandfather being, a deacon, a minister, from that old school teaching, a woman's hair is her glory, her, mane is her glory. But I wanted to do it, but I knew that it was unacceptable with my family. I had an open conversation. This wasn't guessing with my husband. This was a definite.
Yeah.
And I actually found out that my husband was having an affair.
Oh, yeah.
And I took a vacation. The vacation had already been set up through another friend, but I wasn't going to go. And when this happened, I called my friend and I said, you know what? I didn't tell anybody about the affair. No one knew I knew.
Yeah.
I kept that, it was just between me and the Lord.
Yeah.
And I took that vacation. And when I got there, my girlfriend had cut off all her hair.
Oh.
It was already done, hers, and it looked so beautiful. We went to junior college together, and people would mistake us. We looked so much alike. Her name is Serena. They would walk up to me, Serena, blah, 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 and I would just talk to them like I was Serena.
Yeah.
That's how much we looked alike. And they would do the same with her. They would walk up to her, Margaret. She would just give me my messages when she saw me. So we looked so much alike. And to see how beautiful she was with her hair cut off, I was like, oh, forget him, forget that. And I told the cab driver, take me to the barber. And he said, well, I have something to do. I'll be back for you. And I was like, is he really coming back? You can't do that in New Jersey. You can't do that in New York. Tell the cab driver to come back when they come back. But
He could be a long ways away by the time you need him.
exactly. But he really did. He came back for me and he took me to get my hair cut. And there was a lot of mixed emotions, Of course, I had in the back of my psyche what's going on with my husband.
Yeah.
And I had a huge, fabulous weave in my hair, mind you. When I got to the Bahamas, I had spent over $200 to get my hair done. So I could go to the beach and enjoy it without having to fuss with it.
So you had a lot of hair.
It was a weave. I had paid to have this weave put in. My hair was okay, but I didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it every day because I knew we were going to be at the beach. So I had this, whatever, I don't know the name of it, but a weave that once it gets wet, it doesn't matter. It won't get, all messed up. So I had paid to have that done, and she cut it all out. It wasn't as short as it is now. I didn't go straight to a Caesar. I might have what someone called a texturizer or teeny weeny afros is the new term.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, but I think you would really call it a texturizer because I still had some chemical in it. It still had a little perm in it, and that's how it started. That's
What
where it came.
exactly qualifies as a Caesar? Does it have to be as short as yours is, or can it be an
This
inch
is the
long?
Caesar. For me, this is a dark Caesar. This is a 1 inch.
Oh.
I usually get a 1/4 inch Caesar. I actually got a new barber again in Puerto Rico. This is my second barber since I've been here. So I wasn't quite sure with the 1/4 inch. So I told him to just use the 1 inch blade. But next time I'll let him do the 1/4. Sometimes I do both, but it's a light Caesar. There's a dark Caesar. A dark Caesar is just more hair.
Oh,
And
Okay.
you have a little more hair on it, maybe a little bit more than this would be qualified as a dark Caesar.
Okay.
And the light Caesar, just, they usually will call it by the inch, quarter-inch blade, 1-inch
Yeah.
blade,
Yeah.
things like that. It depends on the barber. But I'm surprised this name Caesar, even here in Puerto Rico, when I went into the barber, I said, you know how to cut a Caesar? He was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. He knew what I was talking about. That's just the term. I don't know.
Do you know how it got the name?
I've tried to find it. I've heard a lot of different stories, but so many different stories, it was too random to
Yeah.
say what's true and what's not. But so far, I haven't figured out what the actual name was. Where the actual name came from.
Well, that's, it'd be kind of interesting to know that. And the haircut itself has been around for a lot of years. It's very striking, very classy. I think it's a very classy look.
Well, thank you. They say Roman Caesar wore his hair in a Caesar, and that's where it came from. The first title of my book was spelled Ceasar.
Mm-hmm.
I purposely did not want it spelled like Roman Caesar because when you read the story, it has nothing to do with, that era.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought that using Caesar was a little misleading.
Mm-hmm.
But it came back. Everyone felt like I was supposed to spell it that way, and it was a typo.
Okay. Yeah, and I think both spellings are somewhat correct. Is that right? They're both
Right.
ways.
And you'll see people with the actual name Caesar, they spell it both ways. And being that I live here in Puerto Rico, it's a different spelling. So I actually live on Caesar Gonzalez Street.
Oh,
So that's a coincidence.
That's all over your life.
Right, exactly. And it's spelled a completely different way. But Cesar here in Puerto Rico. But so I listened to what the readers had to say, and since they thought it was a typo, I was like, okay. And I talked to the editor about it, if I should, if I shouldn't. So it was one of those decisions where I was sitting, all of the editor's decisions you don't have to accept.
No, right.
They give you their opinion and you weigh it, and of course the choice is yours.
Yeah.
So I weighed it, and really I wasn't 100%, but I was more like 90%. And I went ahead and I changed it in the new title, Caesar. So go figure.
It'll work.
That's as bad as life gets. So.
You went through the whole process of publishing. Did you self-published? Am I correct in thinking that?
Correct. Yes, I self-published.
How did that all work for you? How difficult was that? Who did you use? Where did you go? How did you pull that all together and actually get that book out there?
When I made the decision to write the book, I hadn't written anything down. I just made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
I went online and Googled some things because there was no one in my inner circle for me to ask. I didn't have a cousin. I didn't have a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anyone that I could ask about publishing or writing.
Yeah.
Except for Google. Google was my buddy.
There's a lot of information out there.
So when I was looking online, a lot of roads pointed to CreateSpace.
Yeah.
So I originally, set up my account with them and looked on their forums. I didn't necessarily ask a question. I just looked to see what other people had already posted and what answers came back. So I had in my mind that I wanted to go with them when I was done.
Yeah.
So when I finished writing, I actually submitted to them. And that's who I published through. It's self-published. It's through CreateSpace, which of course is Amazon.
Yeah. The nice thing is your book automatically gets on Amazon when you use CreateSpace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It went to Amazon and it went to Kindle. So 2 less things I had to worry about.
Yeah.
But I went through them. Was it difficult? I wouldn't say it was difficult, but you worry a lot about what am I not asking? Mm-hmm. What should I know that I don't know? What am I going to find out the hard way?
The thing I run into with people that I talk to is the formatting issues seem to be much more time-consuming and detail-oriented than actually operating CreateSpace and clicking that button and getting it published. Is getting that format proper and correct to begin with.
That's true. That is true. And for some reason, when I first published, I didn't have so many problems. The page numbering was a nightmare.
Okay, yeah.
That part of the formatting was a nightmare. But when I republished, I think because it was the same document,
Yeah.
just edited,
Yeah.
that second time around when you say nightmare, it really was. It was days and days and days of having a finished product, but I couldn't upload it. So that was hard. And I couldn't ask anybody. My friends that were executive secretaries and all these old fabulous jobs, you know, I would call them and ask them. They say, oh, it should be easy.
Should be.
Yeah, I thought so too. That's why I called you. But yeah, that was bad. I even went to the IT department at the college. And they sat with me for hours and hours, 2 days straight, and couldn't figure it out. But I thought I was having to retype it, which meant re-edit it. But ultimately, I got it done.
Yeah, that's the tricky part that I hear about most. Well, then once you got that book published and it was up on Amazon, I imagine friends and family got all excited. But after that comes the marketing and the different things. What have you been able to do? Do you go out and speak, or are you mostly marketing online? You've got a website. I know that. You should give us your website address before I forget to ask that.
All right. The website now is it's Margaret, Margaret. My middle name is Felicia, so then there's an F, and Kreps, Kreps .weebly, WEEBLY.com. MargaretFKreps.weebly.com. As far as family, let's talk about family first. I used to do network marketing type of businesses years ago. And one thing I learned then, if your family is your main customer, you don't have a business.
Yeah,
it's nice to have family support, you know, but if that's the only realm of customers you have, that's just a gift to them or whatever it is, but you won't have a thriving business. So with that being said, I definitely market to family and friends first because it's, hey, look what I did. No one knew I was writing a book.
Yeah.
They didn't know I was doing it until it was done. It was, hey, y'all, look what I just did. Everyone was like, what? So with that being said, I do a few things. I didn't do as much the first time around because I knew the book wasn't edited.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit, but I didn't do too much. I didn't want to go full blown.
Yeah.
This time around, on the weekends, you know, I live in Puerto Rico. Old San Juan is right here. That's where all the ships come into the pier and, you know, the ships dock and the tourists come out. I take about 200-300 business cards. Me and my daughter, we pack a lunch. I have my knapsack full of books and my Sharpie ready to autograph. And we walk around Old San Juan during the weekend and we pass out business cards and we sell books. You know, I might sell them for $5 or something like that because people might not want to give up $10, $15, even if they have cash on them, it's questionable. Yeah, but everyone has $5 and they're, you know, tucked away somewhere. So we're selling books for $5 and more importantly, we give out the business cards. Yeah. Which I think is bigger than getting that $45 right there because they're going to go to the website, which drives traffic to the website, which means you can do other things, you know, like Google Sense and things like that when you're driving traffic to the website. So that's one way that I use to market. Of course, interviews like these, you know, online interviews. I've had one public event, which was so exciting.
I'll bet.
It was a play, and it was actually in Newark, New Jersey. And it was a monologue. I shouldn't say it was a play. It was more like a monologue of women, Black women, with their hair issues. All had natural hair. Well, actually, I thought they were all going to have natural hair. But then there was the one with the perm that talked about how she was mocked for having a perm. And her skit was, my perm doesn't take away from my Blackness. My perm doesn't take away from my womanhood type of thing.
Right.
And one woman actually talked about her Caesar. And so it was a very good place, supernatural. They're touring around the country actually, but they were going to be in Newark, New Jersey, which is where I'm from.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was really good to go there and be a part of that event back home and sell my books. You know, this was just the weekend of January 18th, my daughter's birthday weekend. Kendra turned 7 that day. So it was an exciting weekend.
Oh, that would be fun. Well, before we go, is there anything that I haven't asked that you want to be sure the viewers to hear?
I want the viewers to hear it is more than just a haircut, and I got that from you. It definitely is more than just a haircut. The title and the beginning of the story could be a little bit misleading. It is a great read, and all of the feedback I've gotten back, I must say that I'm blessed to say it's all been positive. People have been shocked. And look, it's not too big. I purposely didn't want a huge novel. Me, myself, I don't know if it's ADD, OCD, whatever it is, I cannot sit down and read a huge novel. I can't. So you can do it in 1 or 2 days, and if you have quiet time, you can do it in one sitting. If you, not too many of us have that much time, but if you can, a book to put in your bag when you're on a plane, to put in your bag when you're taking a long train ride, and I can almost guarantee that you will not be disappointed. So I just hope the audience goes out and picks it up, stops by the website, it's on Kindle, it's on Amazon, or stop by the website and make a purchase.
And that website is Margaret F.
Kreps.weebly.com. Yeah, I did the F. I did a play on MFK.
Yes.
It was always a joke when I was growing up, the MFK. So I purposely did the initials instead of the whole name. But
that's great.
So I put the initial in the website too.
Well, Margaret, it was great to have you today. And
thank you. We'll talking to you.
We will. Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.